Next Curve.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Next Curve's Rethink podcast series on security and trust, where we talk about the hot topics in the world of technology, privacy, security, and trust. And of course, all of this has to matter. And so that's why I have my good friend, the Data Diva, Debbie Reynolds of Debbie Reynolds Consulting, and all her fantabulous glory. So wonderful to have you, as always. And it's been far too long. We haven't really kept up with our cadence. I know that we've both been busy. Yeah, it's about time that we caught up because we're kicking off 2026, and the Next Curve audience needs to know what the Data Diva is thinking about, what's top of mind. And so what we're going to do, everyone, is we're going to talk about security and trust outlook. What is the outlook for 2026? But more importantly, what are some of those issues and risks that you folks out there need to be cognizant of, aware of, and mindful of as you saunter into this new era of agentic AI and digital XYZ, which is getting more confusing and more convoluted every single day with all kinds of problems that actually, Debbie, you and I have talked about for years now. Mm-hmm. But why don't you say hi to the audience? It's been a while.
Hello, audience. Happy to see you. Happy to have my very good friend Leonard chatting with you always. I was actually going down memory lane, noting that I think you were my third podcast guest, number 3. So we're now at like 270-ish, something like that. We had over 1 million downloads.
Yes.
It's been cool.
Congratulations. That is amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah, I'd have to get you on my show so we can find out what the hell's been going on for the last 5 years.
Well, that's maybe it's like a 5-year retrospective. The first half of the 2020s. Exactly. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It's about time we caught up, and hopefully we'll be able to do this regularly. But you know how it is. We're both busy, but we're all always in tune with each other. You know, of course, those of you who watch IoT Coffee Talk, you know, Debbie is an IoT Coffee Talker. So, you know, every week, you know, we're on. We do that snow, rain, shine.
That's right.
Whatever. And Debbie's one of the crew, and she always drops her wisdom in every episode that she appears on. And so,
sometimes we go blue.
Yeah,
so,
and we go crazy. That's like unfiltered.
It is.
We have to behave, right? We have to behave. But before we get started, remember to like, share, and comment on this episode, and to subscribe to the Rethink podcast here on YouTube and on Buzzsprout, and take us on the road and on your jog, and listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. And this podcast is for informational purposes only. Statements by my guests are their own and don't reflect those of Next Curve. We just want to provide this open forum for debate and discussion for all things tech and industry, as well as, you know, of course, security and trust. And so with that, I really do, again, want to congratulate you on 1 million downloads on your podcast. That's quite amazing. And it's been a privilege to watch you. Number one, grow your practice, grow your business, and grow your eminence. And it's wonderful to see that you are such the leader, the thought leader, and pioneer. And, you know, you and I have known each other for now years.
A long time.
Yeah, you know, what is that? 290 episodes back or something like
that.
Podcast, at least, right?
Yeah,
we knew each other.
Yeah, we knew each other before that. So.
Yeah. But you know what? 2026, coming out of 2025, just looks like dare I say, just a nutty year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Undoubtedly, you see a lot of the issues forming. The technology landscape, the geopolitical landscape, the regulatory landscape. It's just
Mhm.
shifting just remarkably fast.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, coming into 2026, what are those things that are top of mind for you? Let's like kind of systematically go down some of
Yeah.
these. I think it really has to be across because you cover so many things from IoT to spatial computing to the regulatory stuff. You're looking at
Hmm.
things from a geographical and regional perspective. So, what do we all need to work on this year?
Yeah. Well, there are several things that people need to think about. I would say the thing that is concerning me, and I guess I'll give you an example. So,
Mm,
many moons ago, you remember when Target had that big breach, where some third party
mm, mm,
company or contractor had access to their system, and then they
mm,
went into their system, they did all this bad stuff or
yeah.
whatever. And so I feel like a lot of times the conversation around data trust, quote unquote, is
Mm,
around, we just need better locks and better doors. And I'm like, well, if they get into the door, what can they do? Right. So if you're really managing your data the right way, then
mm,
it should be limits to what havoc someone can wreak
mm,
when they breach your organization or when data leaks. And so I feel like we're not talking enough about that. We're just saying, let's just put more data in. Let's try to build bigger, taller walls, bigger locks. And it's like, that's
yeah.
not the issue, in my view. So I think
Yeah.
the data transfer is more about context, in my view.
Uh-huh.
What someone needs to see or what they don't need to see. And at some point, I
Yeah.
think we need to get to a point where we're thinking about, we're architecting things from a software and hardware perspective to make it like really hard for someone to do something bad with
Yeah.
data. And part of that to me is like less data.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like being more
Yeah.
specific
Yeah.
around what you're doing instead of
Yeah.
trying to collect everything and try to do everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the interesting counterpoint to that is this whole movement due to AI training and just everyone trying to crack the enterprise AI code, looking at bringing down the silos of data, right? And silos of information, knowledge. And, of course, enterprises are discovering that's really difficult to do because this is not like RDBMS. Role-based access control is really hard to institute up and down the stack for an AI application or a system, or just a solution. It's very difficult, if not impossible, in many instances, depending on what you're trying to do. And this is something that you and I have talked about actually for 3 years, because we actually were looking at the technology and we understood what are the limitations of vector databases, LLMs. It's not just about hallucination. Everyone fixates on hallucinations, but there are all these security issues. But then at the same time, there is this counterpoint where especially vendors are trying to push organizations to open the aperture for access to data, and that becomes really problematic, right? And I
Mhm.
think a lot of organizations are still going through that discovery process. So I don't know what your reaction
Yeah.
to that is, but
Yeah.
it's interesting that you say that because yeah, we've been trying to lock down applications, and there is this proclivity now to share less, whether it's because of copyright infringement or confidentiality concerns, privacy concerns. But
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, you know,
I think the way that things have gone, and I think enterprises need to learn.
Mhm.
relearn or re-educate themselves about the way they're supposed to handle data. So the way it is now, it's like let's create a new big bucket of stuff and just throw it
Yeah.
in there and then hope we press some buttons and something magical comes out.
Yeah.
Um, and that's not the way it goes. It's like you need to be more circumspect about what
Mhm.
you collect, why you collect it, why you have it, because, and maybe this is a holdover from the big data days, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like more data is better. It's like more
Yeah.
data is like more risk, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, why are you taking more risk? A lot of times the risk people are taking is like when they look back, they're like, okay, we didn't even need that data. That data was not even useful for us. So now we're in trouble some kind
Yeah.
of way. And it's
Yeah.
like if you put a tighter rein on what you have and why you have it and really ask those questions as opposed to just adding more data and just hoping that you can find some magical tool that's going to help you. To me it
Yeah.
reminds me, I'm sure you remember
Oh yeah.
the bonkers days when people were trying to do enterprise search, where they put an
Yeah.
app on everything and say, "Yeah, let's
Yeah.
expose everything and try to search," and it was a disaster
Yeah.
because people didn't understand what was uh, accessible
Yeah.
within the enterprise. A lot of this security by obscurity goes out the window when you do that. And so we're having like another moment of that where people throwing agents on stuff. And it's like, but your data is not locked down, it's not secure. You don't know
Yeah.
what's there.
Yeah.
So now you're like stirring up all this data and creating all this new internal and external risk
Yeah.
because you don't really know what you have. And so I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like eat your vegetables. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah, and that was like so. I have this concept called the AI security sandwich.
Yeah.
I come up with the most ridiculous things. I have to admit that. Um, but yeah, the lower half of the sandwich, the bottom piece of bread, is data security posture management. And the first step of that is to really, like take an inventory and catalog and understand what data and information, all the way up to knowledge that you have. And see, that's one of the problems I have with this whole AI discussion where it's fixated on data. When we think about
Hmm.
data, we think about a certain level of information, right? And that's usually
Right.
the lowest level. And when you talk cross domain about data, it means different things, but fundamentally, it's really unsynthesized information. It's just raw data that you're talking about. There's this whole hierarchy of other levels that ultimately culminates in knowledge, a knowledge base. And we should be
Right.
talking about knowledge bases more. But a very fundamental first step is that understanding the data, the posture of your data, information, and knowledge. And knowledge is a different beast.
Yeah.
And a lot of organizations haven't done that.
Yeah.
And that really is one of the first critical steps. And then there's that top part of the sandwich, which is like your data loss protection type of stuff, where you're securing
Yeah.
endpoints, you're securing access from an endpoint perspective. But then there's a lot of holes at that level. But that's all we have right now. Everything in between is like it literally is like a BLT made to order and with too many toppings. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like a
Yeah.
mess.
Yeah. I
So,
don't know. Maybe I'm bringing it back to the Matrix now. I feel like we're missing the librarian.
a
Um,
library, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
then not all data is good data. A lot of it is
No.
junk, right?
Right. I mean, it has to
Knowledge.
be curation. And so
Yes.
we're missing that curation step. That's what we're missing. So
Yeah.
think of going into a library and none of the books were organized or whatever. And people are like, oh, just run around, pick up books, figure out stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't work that way. So,
Yeah.
it needs to, I don't know if the word is like gatekeeper, but there needs to be some level of curation that
Yeah.
is not happening. And so that's why we're seeing a lot of companies fail at
Mhm.
these enterprise projects because they skip that part. They're hoping, oh, well, the AI will curate. It's like, no,
No.
It's not gonna do that. It's a, just like a
Yeah.
just like a broom does not curate dirt on the floor. Uh,
That's a good
the
one.
data is not gonna curate itself. So there has to be some human
Right.
synthesis that occurs somewhere. And a lot of times we're thinking, we'll just let AI do it. That just has never worked.
Yeah, and you know what? I think one of the problems is like, so we used to have knowledge managers in organizations when knowledge management was the craze, right? And document management, getting your stuff tagged and organized and discoverable and, fully lifecycle managed. But then, they suffered what librarians suffer in your public library, right? They get disregarded, right? They're like treated like, um, some nerd that tells you to stay quiet and behave while you're browsing the rows of books, and I don't think they got the attention or the respect within organizations for the important role that they would play after there was all this effort to actually get knowledge organized and baselined, right? Because there's that whole life
Yeah.
cycle that a lot of organizations don't do a really good job of managing
Yeah, totally.
quality. And so,
Well,
yeah,
right. So there's a problem within the organization, but I think also with AI now, it extends outside of the organization
yeah,
because then there's a lineage problem with the data. So
yeah,
the traditional idea of governance is like I put my blinders on about data until it comes into my possession. Then I have to do
yeah,
something with it. Where it came from is very important.
yeah.
That's an important part of the puzzle that a lot of companies aren't really thinking about. And they're just like, again, I think, and it's hilarious. So this is I'm not gonna name the company, but like a big insurance company, a big one. They were
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, let's just throw everything into like generative AI. I'm like, what? Like, you can't do that. Like, it's not like a database. I mean, there has to be, and that's probably another thing we could talk about. Like, I'm seeing, as you're seeing, a lot of these generative AI tools being pushed into healthcare, and
Yeah,
it's very scary. So for me, I'm concerned about, you know,
yeah.
accuracy, you know, um,
Liability.
yeah, right. You don't want to
Yeah,
be, oh, it sucks to be you. Like, oh, well,
yeah,
oops, we gave you a misdiagnosis because we didn't use the most
yeah,
accurate way of doing something. It's like, certain tools don't do certain things. So, like a
yeah,
hammer
yeah,
is good for a nail, but maybe a screwdriver doesn't help you put a
yeah,
nail
yeah,
in the wall. So I feel like we're
yeah.
trying to put the wrong tools to the wrong things.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of corner cases being used to characterize large language models and these chatbots as being trustworthy and accurate, and I think that's seriously dangerous. I mean, quite frankly, that has to stop.
Yeah.
It really does, because I would hate to be a physician having to argue with a patient about and try to regain the trust of a patient who over relies on and is over dependent on,
Right.
let's say, a chatbot. I mean,
Totally.
that's a serious problem. I mean, that's overhead for the physician. That actually makes their work more laborious. And when trust gets transferred from the physician who has a duty
Yeah.
to be careful and to look after the health of their patients, right? They have that obligation, having to fight for the trust of their patient with an AI agent of some kind,
Yeah.
and I don't think I don't see that people have connected those dots, and it's such an easy stream of dots to connect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's remarkable.
It is. It's very scary. So I think, of course, for people who build these tools, they love it because it's like, okay, we sell this product to this healthcare company. And it's like,
Yeah.
this is all about it sucks to be you type of thing. So
Yeah.
if you make a mistake or use it wrong or whatever, the company they just say, well, is at your own risk. And I've never seen products being rolled out in that way. And I
Yeah.
think that people almost assume that there is a level of safety there, so they don't understand
Yeah.
that it's really incumbent upon them to decide what's the best way to use these tools
Hmm.
in a
Hmm.
way that's helpful and not harmful.
Yeah. Yeah. No, let's talk about spatial computing and XR for a moment, because I know that you've done some work there
Yeah,
recently. And you're a privacy advisor in that regard.
yeah.
Um,
We talking
so
about the
what are some of the
metaverse now?
hot things happening there? Because smart glasses, it feels like CES was like ages ago. It just
Yeah,
happened 2 weeks ago. It's hard to believe. But yeah, these creepy smart glasses are all the rage, at the moment.
yeah, yeah. Everybody wants glasses, but we talked about this
Oh yeah,
a couple years ago, right? We talked about, and we
more
talked.
than
So we
that.
talked about. Remember, we talked about the Vision Pro, and we
Yeah,
talked about all the patents they had. And I said
yeah,
Apple's going to do other products, which they're
yeah.
doing. That's exactly what they did.
Uh,
Um,
they
you
have so
know,
much overhead right now in terms,
yeah,
like they headroom in
yeah,
terms of technologies that they can
yeah,
now squeeze down into something,
mhm.
creepy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all about creating a deeper relationship, right? So,
Yeah,
personalization, whenever they say that, you should
with
be
who though?
afraid. You should be afraid when they say that. But,
Yeah,
um, yeah, I think. From my perspective, and I think we've said this for years, my thing was like, when people are like rah rah about the metaverse, I was like, to me, spatial computing is not about you trying to go to a place, quote
yeah,
unquote. To me, it was
yes,
about it. How do you interact with your environment? So
yeah,
it's not like an amusement park that you go to. It's like, how does it help me in my life? And so I think the uses that we've seen some uses in education. I've definitely seen some uses in health, but
yeah.
I think what was missing is kind of that what they wanted is like, more of a consumer
Consumer, yeah,
rah-rah, like gaming, the gaming industry and stuff
yeah,
like that. And so that part didn't happen. And part of that is the expense, right? And then, people have stuff to do
yeah,
besides buy very expensive glasses.
yeah.
So
Well, Meta made them pretty cheap and accessible. So, but
yeah,
that formula still didn't fly. And just so that we commemorate the what looks like the death of the metaverse. I mean, they're basically scrapping that whole group, right? So,
yeah,
it looks
yeah,
like Meta is pivoting hard toward smart glasses, which I mean,
yeah,
it makes sense because not, you're never gonna, one of the big misconceptions about VR, even MR, to a certain extent, not as much, was that you're gonna have people walking around with these ski goggle looking things out in public, which you had some, I don't want to call them morons. They are going around with an Apple Vision Pro and driving their Tesla. That's not what they're designed for.
right,
That's not the use case. But that's exactly why for the ambition that I think a lot of people, a lot of these companies had, that didn't fit the bill.
right,
It was just not going to happen, right?
yeah,
The gaming thing, you're fighting physics. You're
totally,
just going to get sick.
yeah,
There's no way around it. It's like trying to solve problems that can't be solved.
right,
Saying like hallucinations with LLMs.
right,
You can't solve it. It's just you're not going to solve them.
yeah,
It's just part of the way of
yeah.
things.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And then, I'm seeing obviously companies are trying to double down on things that they think are more practical. So,
yeah,
like, I don't know about you. You went to see CES.
yeah,
Some of the reporting I saw it coming out of there. I'm like, how many robot vacuums are you guys gonna put out? I was like,
Oh
oh my
yeah,
gosh. Even though they're awesome, right?
yeah,
And to me, that's like a practical thing that people could possibly use. But
yeah.
like I want something instead of telling me that my refrigerator's open, is to close the damn door. That's what I want.
No, but you know what? I think I don't know where I made this comment, but my wife will kill me if she ever watches this episode. But the convenience fosters bad behavior. So you have these, my wife is absolute expert on all these robotic vacuum cleaners. It's like every 6 months we have like the latest version, right? Um, and my kids now have this proclivity or a habit of just like throwing stuff on the floor because they just assume that the vacuum cleaner, the robotic vacuum cleaner, at some point is going to
Right.
clean it up. So during most of the course of the day, because we have this thing running at night, right? Typically, or in the late evening, you have like
Yeah.
food all over the floor. Um, And I've actually had my wife tell me, "Don't worry about it. The robot will pick it up." There's like this huge sandwich on the floor. I was like, "Honey, pick that up."
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. That's so
So,
funny.
yeah,
It's funny. It's funny. It truly
yeah,
is.
it is. I guess it's just a sign of how ridiculous things are getting.
I
But
agree.
yeah, I mean, there's a privacy aspects as well because these things they have lidars on them now. They
Oh,
can
totally.
scan your entire environment in real time, and it's like, okay, so what about the security, privacy, and confidentiality there?
Yeah.
Let's say that now you start to use these robots and they're for rent and they're
Yeah.
connected and you use it for your offices, cleaning your offices, maintaining your offices, and this thing's creeping around.
Yeah.
What we've seen with some of these companies, they don't actually have autonomous robots. There's some guy in a closet somewhere
Yep.
controlling it remotely, right? So this is the
Yep.
big ups for 5G and
Yep.
Wi-Fi, but it certainly isn't a statement for it's not a statement for autonomous robots. But
Yeah.
I don't know, where are we with that stuff, because I haven't really looked very closely at the privacy. I mean, I can just assume
Yeah.
and kind of project what all those issues
Yeah.
are going to be, but where are we with like
Yeah.
industry or regulators looking at this and from a consumer and consumer protection perspective? I guess that's
Yeah.
really where you have to start, right?
Yeah. Well, let's see. We're it's hard to say exactly. So we're not seeing any movement on a regulatory front, especially in robotics and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think mostly because a lot of the use cases that people think about,
Mm-hmm.
like, Neuralink or whatever, some of
Yeah,
those, because they're related to medical, they're like, okay,
yeah,
they're in the US, they're HIPAA, right? So there's a HIPAA protection there. The issue is when these things become more commercial,
mm-hmm.
but then all that in the US is more consent based. So it's like, again, it sucks to be you, right? So, this robot may fold your laundry and make you toast and stuff, but it also is tracking you, everything that you do
Yeah,
in your house or whatever. And so, there's a big gray area there
yeah.
around that type of collection. But there has been a very interesting development that's happened recently around cars that I think you should hear
Mm.
about.
Yeah, no, but everyone, she is like the person for privacy and security in vehicles. It's insane. She's done wonderful work there. So
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
yeah,
Well, you remember a couple years ago there was a big uproar
yeah,
around GM, and they're collecting car data and selling it to data
yeah.
brokers who are using it for insurance. And so that was like two or 3 years ago that article came out in the New York Times. Well, so now the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, um, uh, put out a consent order for
Mhm.
GM. So they have to stop selling for 5 years. They can't sell any consumer data to data brokers or consumer credit agencies like LexisNexis.
Mhm.
And for 20 years, they have to have a robust privacy program, including showing people how they can opt in and opt out of things, not just checking boxes and stuff. So I think that's going to have a huge impact, not just on cars, but also like other IoT devices. So
Yeah.
they actually carved out language around car data or
Yeah.
driver data or people data. And so
Yeah.
that I think that blueprint could easily find its way into like other IoT devices. Because
Mhm.
basically you're saying, people who buy products that are connected to the internet, if you collect data about them, you have a responsibility to that person. And you can't
Mhm.
just take it and you have it for a secondary use without the person not knowing. And that's the whole data broker industry, literally.
Wow. Yeah. And it seems it's amazing that we're still talking about this because you and I have been talking about this for at least 8 years now,
Yeah, it's a long
and
time.
we still have a long way to go with this whole opt-in. You know.
That's right. Yeah, right. I think,
Um.
yeah, one of the big things that they did, which I'm happy that they did, is that, and this has been a argument that's been brewing for a super long time, which is a lot of device makers say that the data about the person and the data used to operate the device are together. And
Mm.
basically, FTC is like, no, it's not. They're different because you package up that data and you sell it to somebody else. So, right.
Yeah.
So the fact that, so you can't say, well, we need this to operate the device, but then you turn around and you package it up and sell it to somebody else.
Yeah.
So I think that separation is very critical because
Mm.
that has been one of the sticking points where they're like, oh, like if they're like, oh, Leonard, he doesn't need to know like all the safety XYZ and the gobbledygook, that comes out of a car. It's like, well, no. I mean, if it's for, maintenance or service or safety,
Yeah.
no, you probably don't need to know that. But if that data is like, you know, taking your phone book out of your phone when you connect the Bluetooth and they're selling it to people, that's a
Yeah.
problem, right? So
Yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah.
that they're talking about that.
Yeah. And a lot of this is rooted in the IoT.
That's right.
Consumer IoT, right?
Yep.
And a lot of people think that the IoT, that hype cycle, went and went. It never went. It's always been there, and probably causing more problems
Yeah. Well, most
than
people don't
solving.
know.
Yeah,
Most people don't know, and most companies don't realize that they have more IoT devices than they have computers.
yeah,
So it's like it's been a ubiquitous thing. People they go on Amazon and buy something, they connect
yeah.
it, and as long as it does what they want it to do, it's fine. But they're not seeing kind of that underneath layer. They don't know what's happening
Or
with
what
that
they
data or
think
what's
it
being used.
does.
Yeah, totally. And then, the device can change because you're doing
Yeah,
over the air updates and stuff like that.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a big issue.
Yeah, and I think going back to one of our big themes for our podcast is the topic of trust. And what's the outlook there? We're talking about a lot of these security and privacy related issues, but what do you think is the
Mhm.
big theme this year for trust?
Yeah. Well, I guess I have two themes,
Because it's
and
just because we
maybe
talked about.
yeah, we probably
It's an
I tell you, it's
update.
every year. It's an update. It's an update. It's right, exactly. So the one thing is around trust for companies. I
Mhm.
think they need to know how to collect or retain less. Let's say you collect a lot of stuff,
Mhm.
but then you only use it for its purpose, and then once the purpose expires, it goes bye bye, right?
Yeah,
As
yeah.
opposed to collecting everything else. So I think that is one.
Mhm.
And then the other is for people to give less. So really be thoughtful
Mhm.
about how you use data or who you give data to. So,
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. Like, they were many years ago, I think Amazon was saying, had told people, we'll give you a $10 coupon if you give us your like biometrics or something like that. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that's not a good deal. That's not a fair exchange. You know what I mean? Maybe
Like
$100. I'll think about it, but, but, but yeah. I mean, the
or a
thing is,
free subscription to Prime Video.
yeah, right, right,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think for the user, they need to think about, is this, it's never going to be an even exchange because a
Yeah.
relationship is asymmetrical by
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be just a bonkers, like you get nothing. You give us everything, you
Yeah.
get nothing. It shouldn't be like that.
Yeah. 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 And I think one of the big challenges, obviously, are the deep fakes.
Yeah,
And we talked about this ages ago.
totally.
Um, but it looks like there's what is there's the there's like an anti deepfake porn act or something like that now, apparently. And I don't track all this stuff. I just assume it's
Mhm.
happening because it's just probably the first thing that most people who get this technology try to do with it
Yeah.
is there's a legislation, right? I mean, are you
Yeah.
aware of that?
Yeah, there are a
Yeah,
couple of different ones. So a lot of these are state level.
yeah,
And what they've done, so many states in the US now, I think California is the first state to have like a
yeah.
deep fake porn. No, not deep fake. It was revenge porn. That's what it was.
Uh-huh.
Revenge porn laws. And so some states are going back and they're revising those laws
Mm.
to add in non-consensual deep fakes. So
Yeah,
before, because before it was like, okay, someone had a video or picture of you and they put it on the internet. That's what those laws are for. But they're like, well, this was not me, but someone made a likeness of me and they're
yeah,
trying to taunt me or they're trying to,
yeah.
do something, harm me in
A
some way.
line. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that part of the law hadn't been developed. And so we're seeing different states, like I think
Mm.
Illinois, they updated their law. And then there are a couple of other states that are either trying to augment those
Mm.
laws to add that
Mm.
in there, or they're trying
Yeah.
to create new laws. But this is like really a problem because this is an example, um, and I think we talked about it for years where there will be things to happen in
Mm.
this age of AI for which
Yeah,
there is no adequate redress, right?
yeah,
So, like
yeah,
a teenager, someone creates like a deep
yeah,
fake video of this person, like they feel like their life is over, their life is ruined, or whatever. And like no law or legislation is going to undo that
that
damage,
harm.
right? And
Yeah.
so that's what I'm really concerned about. And that's one of the reasons why I got involved with like XR and stuff because I'm like,
Mm.
things can happen here that are so super
No,
bad that
it's
aren't good.
yeah,
And so I'm like, I'm all for prevention. I feel like the best way to solve a
yeah,
problem is
yeah,
to
yeah,
prevent
yeah,
a problem. So I'd rather be on the prevention side as opposed
yeah,
to, oh my God, this bad thing happened. Like what happened
yeah,
to Johnny?
yeah,
Johnny's Law. I don't like that. That,
yeah.
some bad thing has happened to someone before we pass a law
Mm.
because a law isn't a shield. So a
Yeah,
law does not stop things from happening. So that's what
yeah,
I want. I want to stop things from happening as opposed to,
yeah,
clean up on aisle nine, something
yeah.
like that.
And it makes you wonder, what are some of these guys training their models on?
Yeah,
It doesn't just know how to do this stuff out
right.
of the blue. It's like, okay, guys, where are you getting the content?
Right.
You know? Um,
Right. Right.
uh, yeah, yeah,
Well, yeah, right,
and
right. The
so yeah,
capability it's not natural, right? So it's not
yeah,
naturally
it doesn't know.
occurring. Right. So someone has
Train
to
it.
develop it to do such things. So it just doesn't do
Yeah,
stuff like this on its own. So you're
yeah.
right. It's
Uh,
true.
yeah, otherwise you get those like weird what is it, the videos with the weird physics of people jumping and
Yeah, right.
skydiving and what do you call it? What's that called? Underwater ballet and stuff
Yeah,
like that,
right.
where the physics are totally wrong. But and it actually looks quite grotesque. But yeah, and here's the other thing: it's at some point you don't trust anything because it's all fake,
Oh,
right? And
totally.
then we all become desensitized to it. And so this is maybe a warning for an episode that we'll revisit maybe
Yep.
5 years from now when this stuff actually becomes true. But this is
Yeah.
going to be a big societal problem, and that's the issue. You mentioned, the data leakage issues or the oversharing, unconsented sharing issues. All those things culminate into people, malicious actors being able to do a lot of really bad stuff with all of
Yeah.
this available data. And one of the things that really shocked me, I just want to share this with you. And if it's not on your radar, I want to put it on your radar, Debbie, is there's a thing called, I think it's called Scam GPT or something to that effect, which is an LLM that sits on top of the dark web and it allows threat actors to basically compose attacks. I mean, this this chatbot will help you construct targeted attacks based on information that's available in the dark web. And of course, we know everyone's social security number is on there now. And so think
Yeah.
about these really precision attacks that can be generated now. And this is because of all of this oversharing, but also the data breaches, all these data breaches that have happened. And so as we look at future data breaches and we become desensitized to these events, we do at some point have to recognize that it's these breaches that have fed the beast, and I think now I'm going to be really interested in attending RSAC conference this year because I want to see what the tone is. It has changed over time from excitement, hope to dread to holy, oh my God. So
I know.
this stuff is real. And what's really kind of disturbing for me is that there's the level of awareness of what's coming is very low.
Well, yeah. I mean, I shake my head when I see the reports coming out still that the most popular passwords are 12345, or someone still thinks that
Yeah.
they have a Nigerian uncle that has an inheritance. I mean, people are still falling for like the old stuff. And so
Uh-oh.
now we're bringing technology that's like way surpassed that. And so
Yeah.
that is very concerning. I think even though I will say, even though these things are becoming more sophisticated, and one pet peeve I used to have forever is when people will say, "Oh, you may get a message from a scammer and the spelling is wrong." It's like they use get Grammarly and ChatGPT like everybody else. It's
Yeah.
like that was a
Yeah.
that was a bad
Yeah.
that hasn't been true for a long, long
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
But I
grammatically
mean,
correct
yeah,
scam
totally.
artist.
Totally. Right. They'll pull a logo off of, PayPal and make a email that looks like them. They're really good at that, right? But I think the thing from a person perspective or a company perspective, a lot of these are really just souped up um social engineering
Yeah.
attacks because they still go back to trying to get you contact you out of the blue. It's some type
Yeah.
of emergency thing that they contact you about and they want you to take action. So if you resist those three,
Yeah.
then you will be fine,
Yeah.
right? So those are the things.
I got to share something with you.
Yes,
I
yes.
recently received an email from somebody who basically was thanking someone in my network for the introduction. This is a person I don't even know emailing me. They CC'd a fake account that of a person that I do know in my network, someone that I know pretty well and respect. And this this what is apparently a generated email, phishing email, no, actually, it's not a phishing email. It's marketing email. Eventually, this will become phishing, and it'll be used by bad actors, right? But they're using your network graph to now create more sophisticated solicitations, right? Which will eventually become much more sophisticated phishing attacks. So this is where we are. And it's like they say, it'll only get better. And for the consumer, it's going to get worse. It gets better for the threat actor because this is a great tool for them. And this is one thing that I think is highly disregarded in the responsible, ethical, and safe AI conversation, which is almost non-existent, right?
Well, totally. Right. It's just like, oh, we could do all these great things. It's like, to me, technology is like a sword that cuts both ways. So I can do great things, but also people can use them in bad ways. And so the money that we're seeing, the money that we're seeing being pumped into this industry just means that the tax will get worse and they'll come faster. The innovation comes faster because the money is there, right? So we're seeing, the things that chatbots and different AI tools could do 6 months ago, they can do different things now.
Yeah.
So and that, and to me that spills into IoT as well, right? So they have a sitting thing in your house waiting to take over the world.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, this has been a great catch up. It's been way too long, Debbie. Thank you so much for jumping on and sharing your thoughts on the outlook for 2026. I think there's a lot of accountability, responsibility, and focus on safety that needs to happen, which, I know it's a tough thing, but I really appreciate the good work you do. It's rare, and your lineage, your legacy in all of this is so highly valuable. I want the Next Curve audience to understand this because, you and I, we always talk about safe AI, ethical AI, responsible AI. And I don't think there's anything more distressing year after year for us to witness that not happening, or at least being swept under the table in the name of innovation, which is, in my mind, dangerous innovation is not valuable innovation. Unsafe innovation is not innovation. So
Well, I actually had I had the privacy commissioner from New Zealand on my show recently. And she said something really interesting. And this is, I love cars. I like to use car analogies a lot because it really helps, right? But she was like, if brakes on cars didn't exist, we wouldn't be able to go fast. I said,
that's great.
True. That is so true.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is what we're talking about with safe innovation, where we still be like, maybe have golf carts that are going like 5 miles an hour if we didn't have brakes. So
that's awesome.
So thinking about AI in that way, or emerging tech in that way,
that's amazing.
That's what allows us to go fast. Amazing.
Yes, and with that, hey, audience, everyone listening in, make sure you reach out to Debbie at www.debbiereynoldsconsulting.com. She's also on LinkedIn. She has her own podcast. It's just phenomenal education on a constant basis if you follow her. So please do that. And then please subscribe to our podcast, and it'll be featured on the Next Curve YouTube channel. Check out the audio version on Buzzsprout, or find us on your favorite podcast platform. And also subscribe to the Next Curve research portal at www.next-curve.com, and our Substack for the tech and industry insights that matter. Debbie, thank you so much. And thank you for everything that you do.
Aww. Oh, thank you. You've been such a great friend and collaborator. And so
Yeah.
I always get excited when I hear from you. So it's great.
Yeah, and congratulations on 1 million. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And congratulations. I love IoT Coffee Talk, by the way. Love
Yeah,
that show.
it's the best.
It is.
We'll see you
All right. See you
Friday.
later.
Bye.
Okay. Yes. Bye.